Welcome, Mahatma.
Thank you. Nice to
Hare
see you
Krishna.
He's a
and
Mahatma.
everyone.
That's his introduction. Great soul Mahatma.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances, Shri Guru Maharaj. And please accept my humble obeisances, dear
Mahatma
Mahatma
Prabhu.
Prabhu. We would like to express our gratitude and a warm welcome to you on our Zoom session here this morning. It's morning here in India, and it's night time where you are in the US.
Yes.
Requesting all devotees to please stay back for this Zoom session. We're extremely fortunate that we have this wonderful opportunity today to have this wonderful association of His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, who's been very kind to give us his time and especially, to provide us this wonderful opportunity to connect with the Holy Name through the Japa retreat, which Prabhu would kindly guide us through for the next 1 hour. There's a saying in Hindi, Suraj ko diya dikhana. So to speak in glorification of Mahaprabhu is as good as offering a small lamp to Surya Dev. But very briefly, I'm sure everyone here knows Mahatma Prabhu very well. But very briefly, just in the best interest of time, to let you all know, and for those who do not know Mahatma Prabhu, and for my own benefit and purification, Mahatma Prabhu was born in the year 1950, and he went on to meet Srila Prabhupada in the year 1969, and later that same year, he received first initiation and then the second initiation as well. Mahatma Prabhu is, very famous worldwide for his Japa retreats, and prior to the pandemic situation, he used to extensively travel all around the globe and conduct a lot of these workshops, and he has expertise in so many other areas as well. Also, he holds great expertise in marriage counseling, in guidance, in relationships. There are a lot of links which we can share on the chat, on this chat here in Zoom, as well as on Facebook, the Kirtan Ministry Facebook page as well. So we would request all of you to go through those links for further information on that. I wouldn't want to take up more of your time, dear Mahatma Prabhu, because Mahatma Prabhu generally conducts workshops which goes on for at least 2 or 3 days. I was fortunate enough to attend one of those over 10 years ago in Bangalore. And today we have less than 1 hour now. And so let's make the best use of this time. So I would request all the devotees here, let us all raise our hands up in the air and chant 3 loud Hari Bols in welcome of our dear Mahatma Prabhu. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Over to you, dear Mahatma Prabhu.
Thank you. I am just hoping my bandwidth is good enough for this. So if there's a problem in hearing me, just let me know in the chat.
Definitely, Prabhu. Yes.
The video might freeze. I live in the country, so the internet is not so good here, always. So let's see what happens. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Devisesa Sannivari Paschatya Desatarini. So I was asked to speak about the holy name and also about Japa. So you have to translate or no?
We do have a
simultaneous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We do have simultaneous translation happening in Hindi on the Zoom chat.
So I'll speak slowly then.
That's happening simultaneously, so you can go on at your pace. So.
TK. Sub TK. So I thought we could speak about the holy name, but also we could do some chanting. and I could guide you in a way that perhaps the chanting would be special. And I think it's the morning time for you in India, so it's a good time to chant japa, right?
Absolutely, Prabhu.
So I would like to start this talk in New York, 1965. And as you know, the first people coming to Prabhupada were not the cream of the crop. They were not the cream of society, but the young people, the hippies, the dropouts. Many of them addicted to drugs, addicted to illicit sex, and so forth. And I always find it fascinating that Prabhupada had so much faith in the holy name that he took these people literally off the street and within a year was sending them around the world to open centers. And if you think about that, that indicates how much faith Prabhupada had in the power of the holy name. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that you would pick someone off the street, and even sometimes within 6 months. I have one godbrother who became temple president in 3 months. Another godbrother who became temple president 6 months after he joined. I became temple president 8 months. And all of us were hippies, so you know what hippies are like. And so 3 months after being a hippie, 6 months, 8 months, were temple presidents. Some devotees after a year were sent from America to Europe. One devotee at the age of 17 or 18, maybe 18, ended up in South Africa alone. And Prabhupada told him to stay. He was with other devotees, and the other devotees left. He was alone, and Prabhupada said, stay. And so when I think about these things, it seems obvious that Prabhupada had so much faith in the power of the holy name. Otherwise, how could he send people with faith that Krishna consciousness would spread? It doesn't make sense otherwise. I don't know if you know the story in Russia, but the person who spread Krishna consciousness in Russia, Prabhupada spoke to for a few hours. And he saw that this person was sincere and faithful, and Prabhupada empowered him to spread Krishna consciousness in Russia. He had just met Prabhupada for a few hours, and he was the one that did it. So Prabhupada gave the holy name and gave him the blessings, the empowerment to spread Krishna consciousness. Think about that. The person who's responsible, the first person in Russia, had only met Prabhupada for a few hours. And that was all he needed, because Prabhupada gave him the process. So when we think of this, when we understand what was going on, then we can see the power of the holy name, and we can see Prabhupada's faith in the power of the holy name. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed us to go all over the world. We were inexperienced. Then, another example of the power of the holy name is that on many occasions Prabhupada said, if you chant 16 rounds and you follow the regulative principles, you will go back to Godhead, or there's every chance you will go back to Godhead. But sometimes he was very direct. You will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. And I personally heard Prabhupada say that if you chant 16 rounds, follow the principles, you will see Krishna face to face in this life, just like you are seeing me right now. And you will be able to dance with Krishna. So there's another story that a devotee asked Prabhupada, is it actually true that if we chant 16 rounds, of course 16 rounds without offense, 16 rounds follow the regulative principles, we'll go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada said, yes. And the devotee said, what else? What else? And Prabhupada said, 16 rounds, 4 principles. And the devotee said, but Prabhupada, there must be more. And Prabhupada said, no, 16 rounds, 4 principles. So this was going back and forth because the devotee thought it can't be possible. There must be more. And then Prabhupada slammed his fist on the table and he said, 16 rounds, 4 principles. I promise, if you do this, I will take you back to Godhead. And so many of us, when we heard these stories, it just made sense that Prabhupada had negotiated with Krishna. These people, it's Kali Yuga, they're fallen. Let's make a deal that you will purify them on 16 rounds, not 64, not 50. If they chant 16 rounds and serve the mission and follow the principles, you will take care of them. You will bring them back to Godhead. So when I think about these things, then it only just underscores the power of the holy name. Then I read something which I feel is quite significant by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He said there's one problem that we may run into, even though the holy name is so powerful. He said the problem is if we make offense, if we commit one of the 10 offenses, then Krishna doesn't fully manifest. And he gave an example. And this is not an example Prabhupada used, but it's an example that he gave. And he made this point in different ways. He gave the example of blank bullets, bullets that sound. They sound like bullets, but they're not. Is it possible I could share my screen?
Yeah, you are the co-host, Prabhu, so you could share.
I can? Okay.
Yes.
So let me see if I can share a picture just to illustrate this. I have to find it. Maybe this is it. Yeah. You see that picture? Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
So, this devotee, he's firing blank mantras. It sounds like Hare Krishna, but it's not. And that was an example that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave. And I want to explain why. Of course, this is a cartoon. We're making a series of cartoons of how not to chant Hare Krishna. We have a book called Japa Affirmations, which is how to chant. But we're also coming out with how not to chant because it's good to know what not to do, not just only what to do. So I'm going to take this picture down. You get the idea, right? So
Yes.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, the holy name comes from the spiritual world. Golokera Premadana, Harinam Shankirtan. It comes down and it enters the ear. And from the ear, this is the real holy name, from the ear it enters the heart. And then from the heart it moves the tongue. He said that's the real holy name. The holy name descends, it's transcendental. It comes through the agency of the spiritual master. We hear the holy name, but here's the problem. Sometimes it doesn't go to the heart, it just goes to the lips. And so he explained that chanting is not lip deep, it's heart deep. Because if it only goes to the lips and not to the heart, then it becomes robotic or mechanical, or we're not praying for service. We're just chanting. So he said, in that case, when we're not chanting with the prayer for service, it's like a blank bullet because it sounds like Krishna, but it's not actually Krishna. Now, we heard from Prabhupada that Krishna is dancing on our tongue. So this appears to be a contradiction. Because if what Prabhupada is saying is true, then any kind of chanting is good, and Krishna is present in any kind of chanting. And of course, Prabhupada was merciful, and because we're very fallen, by his mercy we can chant. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is becoming more particular, that real chanting should be a consequence of the prayer. So then when the tongue is moving, because of what's in the heart, that's the real holy name. The heart is moving the tongue. And we can understand this because if I say I like you, but I don't, then it's just words. Words from my tongue, but my heart may be full of envy or hatred. I think Chanaka Pandit said that. It's a deceitful person. They're speaking words of nectar, but in their heart there's poison. So it's possible that I can be chanting with my lips, but not with my heart. And that's why he said the chanting is heart deep. And then he also said, because Krishna is the sound incarnation, and just like the deity, Krishna appears in the deity because the spiritual master calls him. He said, Krishna appears in the holy name when the devotee is chanting in the mood of seva, in the mood of service. That's the real holy name. And we all have experience of good chanting and not good chanting. And we all have experience of the effects of good chanting and the effects of not good chanting. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said something which I found very significant. He said, if we chant and we commit offense, then we're not experiencing the full potency of the holy name. And when we don't experience the full potency of the holy name, we can lose faith in the power of the holy name, which makes sense because if you're not doing something right, you don't experience the effect of it. If you take a pill, you don't take it according to the doctor's instruction, then the pill doesn't work. And then you don't have faith in the pill. You say, this pill doesn't work. It works, but you didn't take it properly. You weren't supposed to take it with milk, or you weren't supposed to take it with a meal, but you did, so it's not working. So if we take the holy name properly, it works. And we all have experience of the power of the holy name, but we also have experience of chanting and not really being moved by it because we commit offenses. So he said the danger of that is when you don't have proper experience with the holy name, you can lose faith because it seems like it's not doing anything. And I'm sure you all have had experiences of both sides. So, as I said, Prabhupada had faith in the pure chanting, that it could purify anyone. Now, another thing which I think is significant, which you may have thought of before, there are 64 items of devotional service, 5 are which most important, and these are the 5 items that we find in our morning program. Going to the temple is like going to the Holy Dham. Deity worship, either you do it or you see it. And then chanting and kirtan and sangha. These are the 5 most important aspects of bhakti. But it's quite interesting that at the time of initiation, Prabhupada only asked us to do one of those. Isn't that interesting? Do you ever think about that? Why didn't he make us vow to do all 5? Because those are the 5 most important things, the 5 most potent aspects of bhakti, and Prabhupada only asked us to do one. That means, as we said earlier, 16 rounds has the potency, if we follow the 4 principles, to purify us, to reveal our relationship with Krishna. That's the potency of the holy name. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, within the holy name is our Sarupa with Krishna. It is revealed, or it can be revealed, through the pure chanting of the holy name. So Prabhupada had great faith that even we, no matter how fallen we are, if we chant purely, we can be elevated to the highest position. but chanting purely is the key. Now, I want to say something that I think is extremely significant. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, one of the most important things when you chant a mantra is to meditate on the meaning of the mantra, to understand what it means while you're chanting. And then while you're chanting, entering in the mood. I think some of us, we get Gayatri Mantra and we don't fully understand Gayatri Mantra. And the more we understand the Gayatri Mantra, the more we enter into that meditation, the more powerful it is. And now we have several books have been written on Gayatri Mantra. But as you go deeper into Krishna consciousness, the meanings open up. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, to chant a mantra means, the way you chant a mantra means to meditate on the meaning. And then he said something. I don't know if you've heard this before. It's heavy. And he said, unless you meditate on the meaning when you chant, it will take you many lifetimes to become purified. Have you ever heard that before? Isn't that interesting? So it's not just a point to consider, but for Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it is the point that this is when you get a mantra, this is what must be done. Now, I have another picture I'll share with you. These are funny pictures, but it illustrates the point. I have to find the picture. Oh, too late now. Anyway, it's a picture of a devotee, and he looks like a robot. And the idea is that a devotee is chanting, but he's not meditating on the meaning. He's not connected. Meditating on the meaning doesn't just mean you're thinking of it, but you're entering into the emotion of the prayer. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada said, the holy name means Krishna, please engage me in your service. But there's a lecture where Prabhupada explained it, and he elaborated on it. So he said, Krishna, please engage me in your service. And then he said, part of the prayer means, I have been engaged in Maya's service for so long. It has caused me so much pain and frustration that I just want to be engaged in your service. I don't want to be engaged in her service any longer. So as you go into the meaning of Krishna, please engage me in your service, it opens up. And if you are feeling, and I think we all feel, that we've had enough of Maya's service, she's not a very kind master. And not only do I want Krishna's service, but I want pure service. I want to be able to give myself purely. Isn't that our desire? Deep down, isn't that what we want? I want to be a pure devotee. I want to be able to serve my spiritual master purely. I want to be able to help people. I want to be an example of bhakti. All these emotions are contained within that prayer, Krishna, please allow me to serve you. And also, if you expand that, then you can enter into the mood of Krishna, for so many lifetimes, I turned my back on you. I moved away from you. And I went the other direction. And I committed so many sins. But you've always been waiting for me. And you're so merciful that you've given me this process to come back to you. And so there's some remorse there. There's some guilt there. But that remorse and guilt empowers the emotion of Krishna, I just want to serve you. I want to be your devotee. So when Prabhupada says the holy name means Krishna, I want to serve you, it means all these other things as you open it up. And so when Bhaktivinoda Thakur says we should meditate on the meaning, he doesn't mean as a mental process. He means as an emotional process, that we should be connected with the emotion, Krishna, I want to serve you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I want to be a pure devotee. I don't want to serve Maya. we're not thinking it, but we're feeling it. And that coincides with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta when he said, from Goloka to the ear, to the heart, to the tongue. When it goes to the heart, what does the heart say? Krishna, I just want to be a pure servant. I don't want to think about myself. I want to think about your service. And so you've connected with the meaning. It's a prayer for service. And now that mantra that's coming out of your mouth, that's pure. So what I thought we could do is we could chant some japa together. And I am going to recite or read various meanings of the holy name that have been given by the acharyas. And I'll read one meaning every few minutes. And I might read the same meaning for a few times. And what I would like you to do is not get in your head so much, but I would like you to take the meaning into your heart so you don't get distracted while you're chanting, but you imbue your chanting with that prayer, with that emotion, with that feeling. If you get it into your head and you're just thinking about it, it could distract you. But if you get it into your heart, that's the mood with which you're praying. Would you like to do that? You think that's a good idea? You all have your rounds to chant, right? So I thought, what time is it for you now? Like 8:30 or 7:30 or something?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so still a good, and you just listened to Kirtan for an hour, so you probably have some rounds. Yes? No? Maybe? Anyway,
Yes.
You can chant more rounds. Kadasi, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should mute. Everyone should stay muted. But I can't be muted, and I will recite one meaning, and you don't really have to pay attention to me, because periodically I will recite this meaning just to kind of remind you, to direct you. And it'll be an experience or a practice of trying to enter more deeply into what the holy name means, rather than just chanting just to finish my rounds. So let me just talk about that before we start. I think it's important. When we get the order to chant our rounds, then some of us think that the most important thing about chanting is to finish the 16 rounds. And if I finish the 16 rounds, then I've fulfilled the order of my guru. But there's a letter Prabhupada wrote at the initiation of one devotee, and he mentioned, yes, you should chant 16 rounds, 4 principles, but he said 16 good rounds. So when we say 16 rounds, we don't just mean 16 rounds somehow or other, getting them done, but we mean 16 rounds without offense. Otherwise, why would Prabhupada have us discuss the 10 offenses at initiation? Because chanting the holy name, it's not effective unless we avoid the offenses. But sometimes we misunderstand and we think, well, if I just get 16 rounds done somehow or other, then I fulfilled that order. Technically speaking, you haven't. Because the holy name will give love, but it has to be chanted without offense to give love. It doesn't produce the fruit if we make offenses. So just to finish your 16 rounds, that's good, but to chant while making offense, it won't produce the result, because we're trying to come to the stage of Shuddha Nam, pure chanting. And pure chanting means chanting without offense. And the beginning of chanting without offense, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said, is chanting, making the effort not to commit the offense. So it begins with making the effort. And then from that, we will actually come to the platform where we can chant without offense. And so Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said, if I'm chanting, but I'm not trying to avoid the offenses, that's an offense. And if I'm trying to avoid the offenses, even though I'm making the offense, Prabhupada said, it's not an offense because I'm trying to avoid the offense. So the key ingredient here is the effort to avoid the offenses, which distinguishes nam aparad from the second stage, nam abas. The nam abas stage is we're making an effort to avoid the offenses. And when we perfectly can avoid the offenses, that's Shuddhanam. And when we chant Shuddhanam, that produces love. So the goal is Shuddhanam. We should always remember that. The goal is not 16 rounds. Of course, if we make a vow, that is a goal. But in and of itself, it's not the goal. The goal is 16 rounds purely, without offense, at least with the effort to avoid the offense. And, as we said earlier, part of that process is to meditate on the meaning of the holy name. So I think that's clear now. And so get out your beads and start chanting, and don't worry about me. I'm just going to guide you. And don't think too much about it, whatever I guide you. Just try to enter into the mood. Whatever I say, think about, okay, what's the mood? What's the prayer? How I should be praying in this mood. And what you'll find is these meanings, which are all meanings that different acharyas have given, they're actually prayers. They're not like academic definitions of what the holy name means, but it's actually prayers. Although it's defined as this is what the holy name means, it's actually a prayer. Okay, are you ready? Enthusiastic? Okay, there's one other thing I want to tell you. This is something very important. Just give me a few minutes. I forgot to tell you this. Before you chant, there's a few things you can do that will help your chanting. One thing is internally make a conscious switch to turn off your life, just like whatever's going on in your life. Imagine you had a switch, like a light switch, and you could just turn it off. Like right now, my life is off. The only thing now is the holy name. It's just me and Krishna chanting. There's nothing else going on. When you finish chanting, your life will be there. You don't have to worry. All your problems will be there, or maybe they'll all go away while you chant. Your to-do list will be there. Your kids will be there. Your house will be there. You don't have to think about these things while you chant. They're a distraction. So if you can consciously, kind of like you're going on the altar, but now on the altar is the holy name. You're going on the altar to chant. And just as you would do puja, you would be very focused on your puja, on your deity, and nothing else. If you can enter that same mood when you chant, then it becomes almost natural without effort to focus. And the second thing is, which is part of the similar mood, is when you chant, there has to be some switch in your life from the consciousness that you're in normally in your day to a consciousness of now I'm connecting with Krishna. It's a different consciousness, isn't it? From the consciousness we have during the day, where we're doing so many things, then it's more of a rajasic type lifestyle. But when we chant, we have to enter more of a prayerful mood. And so it's important if we could make that switch, like acknowledge, now I'm chanting, this is different. Like let's say you were a teacher, you're going into your classroom, there's a little shift you make. Now I'm no longer a mother and a wife, or a father and a husband, now I'm a teacher. Or let's say you're a judge, a magistrate. I'm no longer father, mother, now I'm a magistrate. You're a surgeon. You're a lawyer. When you go into your office, there's a switch, isn't it? So when you chant, we should make a switch. Now I'm switching into something which is not my normal consciousness. So if you can do those two things, which are very similar, it will help you a lot in focusing, because your mind will now not be distracted by what you're doing, because now you're entering in this mood. Very much like when you're going on the altar and you're saying prayers before you go on the altar. So if you can think like that, it will help you. So you can begin chanting, and then I will guide you with these meanings, and then I'm asking you to see if you can meditate through your emotions to enter these meanings. Okay, so we can begin. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please engage me in your service. Please engage me in your service. I am tired of being engaged in Maya service. I just want your pure devotional service. So as I'm talking, just keep chanting. Don't stop to listen. You'll be able to hear me while you're chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Please give me pure devotional service. Please give me pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram, Hare Hare. Please help me to serve you purely. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Please help me to become a pure devotee. Please help me to engage in pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Please accept me, although I've turned my back on you, although I've turned away from you. Now I want to turn towards you. Please accept me as your devotee. Don't push me away. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. For so long, I have served my senses. Now, please accept me as your servant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Please accept me as your servant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Please accept my sincerity. Please accept whatever devotion I can give to you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram Ram, Hare. Please pull my heart to you. Please pull my heart to you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Please pull my heart to you. Pull my heart away from Maya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please capture my heart. Please steal my heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Please take my heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Please still my heart with your sweetness. Please steal my heart. Capture my heart with your sweetness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Please, may I develop attraction for you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. May I develop attraction for your holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram. Please give me a taste for your holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram. Okay, we can stop chanting now. I know you probably want to continue chanting. But we only have a few more minutes left. And I wanted to ask you if you could put in the chat your experience. Any of you who would like to share their experience, if you could write that in the chat, either in English or in Hindi. And we'd like to see. Of course, I can't read the Hindi. I'll need help in reading the Hindi. But I would like to see, and I think all of us would like to see, out of this world. Out of this world. Okay, that's good. It's supposed to be. Wonderful. Can someone, well, you all read Hindi, most of you, right? So you can read the Hindi. I can't read the Hindi. If someone would translate the Hindi for me, a few of
Dear
them.
Prabhu, the one in Hindi is the translation to what you spoke. And now what's coming on the chat is the experience by the devotees. They're all typing that in English.
It works immediately. I got tears. This is nice. I'm so happy. I felt like having association with the Lord in the form of the holy name. Felt like talking to the Lord. It was nice chanting in this way. One of the best chanting class for me. Fantastic. Yeah. It was amazing to continue. Continue it very often. I think I wanted to make a recording of this so we could just play and chant to it. I think that would be nice. The switch out button, turning off your life, yeah, that takes practice. Someone was saying it was hard to turn it off. Tears started coming. Fantastic. Couldn't stop my tears. Felt as if you were speaking my heart. All these prayers were just for me. Wow, this is so nice. Wonderful japa, not burdensome, blissful. Wonderful. So, all very similar comments. Focused, yeah. Joyous, powerful. Okay, so we only have a few more minutes, but the point of doing this is that this is not something you need me to do, but this is how you can go more deeply into your chanting. And what we did was just what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. We're meditating on the meaning of the name. And you could see the meaning when we meditate on it and we give our heart to Krishna, it takes the chanting to a completely different level. So, I'm very happy that you got something from this. And we have a few minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer, but we only have 2 minutes.
Not question, but I have a request, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Now, a few days ago, we had a GBC meeting and Vaisheshika was making presentation.
Uh-huh.
He was doing over the book distribution, and he made one point that what you do is important, he said, but what is more important is how you do it. So we are chanting, yes. We are chanting Hare Krishna worldwide, but we always do not know how to chant. move and this and that, offenseless. So now we have Kirtan ministry, and I would like more of devotees of your caliber to train devotees how to chant. They are chanting, that's important. How to chant, and that's where your role comes, Prabhuji Mahatma. Yeah, and I humbly beg you, on every Ekadasi, we want this. So we will request others also, Sachinanda
Yeah.
Maharaj. So, but from time to time, if you could come back,
Yes, I'd love to.
join us, and we had a hundred, the big participation right now, right here on Zoom and on different forums. This is
Yeah.
being broadcasted, and so this is very, very helpful. It helped me also. It helped me also. And so this is very essential. Chanting is essential. Harer Nama Iva Kevalam. How to chant. You know all the techniques, and so please go on sharing. Let our chanting improve day by day with your help. Help, help. We need you. We need your help.
Thank you. Whatever I can do, I'm happy to help,
Thank you.
happy to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to do some service. It was a great honor and nice to see everyone. And we will see you again, hopefully. The next Ekadasi or the one after. Yeah. Hare Krishna.